Hey, 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 good morning. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. It looks like play again today, but it says I'm live, so I'm going to go ahead and go with it and appear and act as if I am live because I'm assuming that I am. As you can see, I'm in my lovely curlers, curl in the ponytail, and my pajamas still this morning, having a nice cup of coffee and just working my way slowly into my day. Not super slowly, but pretty slowly because that's how I like to spend some mornings. Meditating, thinking, and directing how I want my life to go. Because I'm learning about it in Think and Grow Rich. Or think and create whatever it is that you want in 14 days. Now, today is day 12 or the 12th step in achieving whatever it is that you want. Again, I'm working on losing 7 pounds in this 14-day challenge as part of what I'm working on. And I was saying January 7th, but it'll actually be January 8th will be our cutoff day for the 14 days since today is only day 12 and it is the 6th. Again, dates aren't important. You can do this anytime. And I have already decided, I decided yesterday that I already know what my next 14-day period is going to be and what I'm going to work on in the next 14-day period. And I think that I will probably, over the course of this next year as a personal science experiment, is do this over and over and over again every 14 days and apply it to a different small goal and see what kind of an impact it has on my life over the course of this year. Anybody want to do it with me? Comment below, let me know, and we'll set up some kind of a way to communicate, compare notes, and just talk to one another about how's it going, what are we doing, what's working, what's not working. Create our own little mini mastermind of holding each other accountable and helping one another be accountable to achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve this year. I definitely want to lose 7 pounds, but I want to lose more than 7 pounds and get healthy in certain ways. I've let a few of my good habits slip, and I definitely need to kick those up again this year. And so I'm sure some of my goals throughout the year and my 14-day periods will involve my personal physical health. Others will involve my financial health. Others will involve my businesses. Others will involve my family and my personal relationships, etc., etc., etc. But today we are going to talk about the brain. And as fascinating as and as powerful and as all-encompassing and all-controlling as our brain is, scientists and medicine really don't have a very clear or good understanding of what our brain is and what it really does and how it works. My dad died of brain cancer a few years ago, and you know, it was a very, very sad time, but it was also really very interesting to see the process of how that impacted him. Fortunately, with his brain cancer, he was in no pain, absolutely no pain, but his brain, obviously your brain runs all of your bodily functions, so different functions of his body gradually shut down, which is what imminently caused him to pass away. I can say this without crying and talk about it without crying now, so that's progress, right? But our brain is actually an incredible broadcasting and receiving device, and that's the simplest way of thinking of it. Our brain, and we talked about the subconscious yesterday in lesson 11, or step 11 of achieving whatever you want. We talked all about the subconscious. Well, our subconscious is part of this whole process and part of the brain, and part of why you need to do the whole 14 days is because you need to go through and experience all of the different steps that are involved in creating whatever you want, and then after you're exposed to all of them, the pieces sort of come together like a puzzle. Separately, it's a little bit difficult to understand and grasp all of the concepts, but once you understand that together they all work like magic to create what we want, that's when everything starts to happen for you and for me. So the brain, its function is to broadcast what we want to our subconscious and to the universe or the ether or infinite intelligence, and then also to translate that information back to us as action steps, what we need to do, what we need to think, how we need to behave, what steps we need to take to create what it is that we're telling the world that we want so that it actually shows up and appears in our lives. So every human being and every human brain is a broadcasting and a receiving station, and it broadcasts and receives vibrations or energy. Thoughts are energy. Thoughts mixed with emotion. Emotions are energy. Thoughts mixed with emotion, strong emotion, which raise our energy waves to higher vibrations, so they're moving faster and faster and faster. Strong emotions create faster moving or faster vibrating energy, and that's what breaks through to our subconscious, and our subconscious then delivers that message. It's a direct communicator with infinite intelligence, all that is. And again, I can't make you believe in infinite intelligence and that we're all connected in energy. If that's something that you need more proof about, you need to go and research it and look into it and prove to yourself that it does exist. But I already have proven that to myself, so it's hard for me to go back and think that everything is just chaos and none of it is on purpose and that we're not creating our own lives, yada, yada, yada. So if you think of our brain like a radio station, and if you understand how radio frequencies work, and Alexander Graham Bell was a great scientist and proponent of explaining these principles to those of us that would otherwise not understand or have a clue. But even people that don't understand or have a clue know that if they want to make a call or if they want to hear a radio station, they have to tune it to a certain frequency in order to have the radio pick up that station and translate it into something that is understandable to the human brain or the human ear with respect to the radio station. Our brains are the same way. Information needs to be stepped up to a certain level of vibration so that our subconscious and our brain can understand it, both sending and receiving. I don't know if I did a very good job explaining that. I see that the sun has now broken through and is shining in the window in a very weird way to make my light and my face look super funky. Like I don't look silly and funky anyway. That's okay. So, the greatest forces in the universe are intangible. We can't touch them. We can't interact with them with our physical senses. It's, again, this infinite intelligence, this infinite wisdom, the all-knowing, all-seeing wisdom of the world. Oh, boy, I might have to move. I might have to actually just hold my phone. Oh, you can just watch me with the sun shining on my face. I like the sun shining on my face. That, to me, gives me more energy and more vibrance and more light, but it does make it a creepy-looking video. So let's get through this quickly before the sun's really weird. I'll actually put my coffee down and talk about what I'm supposed to be talking about. So the greatest forces in the universe are intangible. And part of what we're learning throughout this 14-day period is that if we want to achieve great things in our lives, we need more. Everything we need is already inside us, but we need more than just us to create what we want. If I want to help 1 million people to alleviate chronic pain and live the life that they deserve, I'm not going to do that on my own. I'll get the ideas and the inspiration of how I want to begin to go about that. But to achieve a goal like that, I need other people. I need other people's help. There's no way I'm going to do that on my own. Again, like I said, I can lose 7 pounds on my own, and that's why this is an easy test to go through the processes and learn the steps and understand that they work and how they interact together to create what I want. That I can do 100% on my own. But if I want to achieve the goal of impacting 1 million people, that ain't happening with just me. I need to tap into other people's resources, other people's knowledge, other people's wisdom to help guide me in that path so that I can actually make sure that that desire becomes a reality. And I need my brain to do that. I need my brain to be able to take that desire and transfer it to my subconscious. How do I do that? I do that by stepping up my vibration. How do I step up my vibration? Strong emotions. Now, here's the rub. Good emotions, positive emotions, or evil, bad, fearful emotions in a strong way, felt in a strong way, both transfer information and translate that information to my subconscious. So I need to make sure that I am focusing on positive, high vibrating emotions. I mean, we learned about the top 10 a couple of days ago. You know, sex transmutation of energy, love, appreciation, gratitude, faith, hope. I'm not sure, I can't remember off the top of my head what they all are, but we want to experience more of those things as often as we can. We want to feel those things strongly and add them to the thoughts of what we want. I think it was Jack Canfield used to say that every day he would pet his cat and think of what he wanted. And that was because of the ability to take that, what he wanted, and add strong, higher vibrating emotions to it. He loved his cat, so when he was petting his cat, that created the higher vibrating frequency that he wanted to add to the thought of what he wanted, to send that message to his subconscious and then create it in his life and his existence. And he's a great example of applying these principles and how they've worked in his life. The other thing that, excuse me, Napoleon Hill talks about in this chapter, and you may or may not believe it, but there's been a lot of scientific proof. Back in his day, it was just beginning, but there's been tons and tons of it done since 1937 in the area of telepathy, clairvoyance, and scientific studies proving that it exists and is real. And for most of us that don't feel particularly telepathic or clairvoyant, the use of the mastermind is how we tap into that possibility, that access to infinite intelligence, intelligence greater than ourselves, the ether, whatever you want to call it, universal knowledge, universal wisdom. And Andrew Carnegie was the master of this, but Napoleon Hill and his team, actually, he had a team of, there were 3 of them, and what they would do is when they had a problem, they would, for a client or something, they'd sit down together, they would clearly describe the problem, and then I call it brainstorming. Then they would brainstorm thoughts and ideas and solutions to that particular problem. They would have a specific problem that they were trying to solve, and then together they would sit down like at a round table, which is, you know, the absolute definition of a mastermind is, you know, 2 or more minds combined to create something bigger than the whole, or something bigger and better than one person alone could come up with. And that's because the synergy of those 3 people discussing out loud and brainstorming allows each of them to tap into something greater than themselves, allows them to tap into, it allows me or you or anyone to tap into this infinite intelligence. So it's kind of a shortcut to telepathy or clairvoyance or whatever you call it. And there's definitely people that have the ability, the innate ability for telepathy and clairvoyance. And again, if that's something you want to know more about, go ahead, do some research. Again, we are so fortunate in this day and age. There isn't anything hardly that we can't just Google or look for a YouTube video and get more information on. All we have to do is ask our computer. If you don't have a computer, go to the public library. They have computers. Wait in line, get on a computer, Google what you want. There's no excuse at all, especially for anybody living in America, to not be moving toward and achieving and getting what you want, because we all have access to so much information and so many resources that, you know, it's easy to make excuses for not doing things, but then that just leads to regret, because we always know deep down that if we want something, we have the ability to go after it and get it. Our brain tells us that. Our conscience tells us that we know that on so many levels, yet, you know, I'm guilty of it. How many times do we make excuses for why we haven't done something yet, or, you know, why haven't I sold my house yet? Well, because obviously I don't want to yet. I'm not ready yet, and I can make all the excuses I want because life is busy, but bottom line is I have not come to terms with it yet. I'm not ready yet, so I haven't done it. I haven't done what I need to do to make that particular thing happen. I guarantee that'll be one of my 14-day challenges over the next year. That'll be something that I will, when I'm ready, come to terms with and make that happen. Because I already know and am certain that I can make that happen. I just haven't wanted to make that happen yet. So, our brain, telepathy, mastermind, And let me just read a couple of these things that are highlighted in here, because then you get them in Napoleon Hill's words, not in mine. And I think that that's powerful too. I mean, I'm ranting and talking about this stuff, but I also want you to know that I'm not making any of this up. This isn't anything that I've come up with or discovered. It's what I'm sharing with you that is true wisdom, that if you apply it, it will change your life. And it can change your life in as little as 2 weeks. It really, really can. It just depends what you apply these things to, and how willing you are and open-minded you are to understanding and actually applying and taking action and using them in your life. Through the medium of the ether, in a fashion similar to that employed by the radio broadcasting principle, every human brain is capable of picking up vibrations of thought which are being released by other brains. Okay, so think about that for a minute. That is our whole, and we're going to learn about this in the next chapter, which I find probably one of the most stealth, ninja, fascinating strategies in the world. And if you can master this strategy tomorrow and use this in your life, you will make miracles happen like you can't even imagine possible. The creative imagination, the receiving set of the brain, which receives thoughts released by the brains of others. So our creative imagination is the part of us that receives these messages and this information that's released by other people. So that explains the phenomenon of people having the same idea at the same time, and all of a sudden 2 very similar products will show up in the marketplace or in the world. It's because people get tapped into the infinite intelligence, and they might have the same idea at the same time. The ideas are always out there. Everything, all knowledge, wisdom, and infinite intelligence is always floating out around us all the time. Think of it kind of like air, but not air, because air is only right around the earth, but that's a good example that we can mostly relate to. Think of the ether as just the thing in between the energy cells or the air cells that's just ever present, and it permeates everything. It's a part of everything. I don't know if you know or not, but our cells are made up of course, protons, neutrons, electrons, whatever, and atoms. And each of our cells are made up of atoms. But protons, neutrons, and electrons, there's tons of space in between those particles, protons, neutrons, and electrons. What's in that space? What's in that space between things that holds us all together? What actually holds us all together as a human being and a body and an entity and a thing that actually exists in the universe? Think about that. A lot of this stuff is really kind of mind-boggling. Super exciting, but mind-boggling. And you don't have to really understand it all to know that it's operating in your life, and then to shortcut and apply the universal laws, the principles, the natural laws, and put them to work in your life to achieve what you want. You have but 3 principles to bear in mind and to apply when you wish to use your broadcasting station: the subconscious mind, the creative imagination, and autosuggestion. And we've talked about each of those, but like I said, as you put all these pieces together, it becomes very, very powerful. And then this last one is about the use of the mastermind and how they do it. We sit down, clearly state the nature of the problem we have under consideration, then begin discussing it. Each contributes whatever thoughts that may occur. This method of mind stimulation illustrates the simplest and most practical use of the mastermind. So that's it. That's the brain. It's, again, probably the shortest chapter in the book, or the second shortest chapter in the book, behind, I can't remember what the other one was. I remember thinking when I read it, though, I was like, how can this possibly be the shortest chapter in the book? Same with the brain. I think it's because at the time this was written, there's so much that we don't understand, and we still don't understand about how our brain works. You know, think of your brain and energy and infinite intelligence and all of these things kind of like electricity. Electricity is all around us, but I don't know how electricity works. I know that it's an energy source, but I don't know how it's created. I don't know how it's destroyed. I don't think it is created or destroyed. I think like energy, electricity is a form of energy. It's never created or destroyed. It just changes form. And that's how we are. We're never created or destroyed. We just change form. So tomorrow, I'm gonna give you a sneak peek. We are gonna talk about the sixth sense, and this is a really, really exciting step and a really exciting chapter. So think today about your brain as a broadcasting and a receiving mechanism or organ or tool. And I didn't even talk about all of the fascinating aspects of the brain. It's just mind-boggling brain. But it is such an incredible organ that we can't even understand how it works or how incredible it is. But we know that it works in an orderly fashion and that it's not by accident. And our subconscious manages all of the functions of the brain. That's all I've got for today. I am going to go about my day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye now.